I would want to talk a little bit about your startup journey.
And I can obviously say to all the young entrepreneurs that there is a risk involved in startups. And we were teaching the engineers, how to do things and what to do things. Apple would update its firmware. Once you keep trying, you can make wonders happen.
Bootstrapping has become a buzzword today, especially due to the funding matter. So today we talk to Saarthak Bakshi, founder and CEO of Risaa IVF, on how he bootstrapped and scaled his IVF business in not just India but also South Asia. Now Saarthak is an active investor and runs a startup accelerator as well. So welcome to GoVenture podcast. I am Pritesh Kumar, आपका host and founder of Functional. I've built and sold companies, raised and burned capital, and have shut startups down too. GoVenture podcast is a reminder for all the hacks and strategies to build and achieve your dreams. Lastly, thank you for all the love and comments that you share. It means a lot. I would want to talk a little bit about your startup journey, your journey of bootstrapping all these years. Now you have yourself bootstrapped all these years, and you also are an angel investor, right? There's a we could talk about the dichotomy there, but how did you get there, and what kind of startups do you look out for, man?
So I had a very interesting journey, right after college. So I've been lucky enough, I've been blessed enough that, my parents could donate or lend me 10 lakh rupees when I started out of college, because I wanted to do my first startup. And I can obviously say to all the young entrepreneurs that there is a risk involved in startups, not a risk. Startup is equal to risk for me, at the end of the day now, which was probably not there. So when we started, I started a gaming company, and this is back in 2011 when I passed out of college. And we were making games for iPhones, iOS, and Android was a free tool back point of time. We didn't even consider, To come to think of it, it's only been 13 years, but the technology has evolved so much since then. And our first game was hit. I did a same mistake that I did from uh, a young, stupid standpoint ki, oh, hire so many engineers, hire this, hire that. You don't even know. The programming language was way beyond our handling capabilities in 2011. Apple was a very close framework. Objective-C was the language which wasn't taught everywhere. So while the time we were teaching the engineers, how to do things and what to do things. Apple would update its firmware. There was iPod at that point of time. So when we used to make games for iPhone, we had to make it for iPad and iPod. By the time we could figure out all this stuff, Apple would update the iPod some firmware. And when we could go for that, the iPad firmware would update. And this would get updated. So, it's like saying that we were not able to, our money would come from the Apple ecosystem and we were not capable enough to cater to that ecosystem. By the time we could figure things out, it kept on changing and evolving so fast that we could not go ahead with it. And within 1.5, 2 years, we realized. So our first game was a big hit. It had 1 million downloads. The rest 28 games were flop. By that time, I realized, after burning the money and time and energy that, and with co-founder conflicts. So that's the learning I said, So I am not against MBA, but I generally say that those 2 years of startup journey and that 10 lakh rupees of worth would teach me way more valuable insights than any MBA would. And taking that learning, and that's where I would tell all startup people that life is a part. If you haven't tried, you haven't, I mean, if you haven't failed, then you're not trying. So you can't say that I want to do something without thinking that you won't fail. Uh, you have must have spoken to hundreds of people. I don't believe that there are the first gen entrepreneur or someone who's starting their first startup can actually succeed. There are only 1% of those people. The 99% only learn from these failures. And I am those part of the 99% that you learn only by failing. I am not those 1% that the first thing that they hit on became gold. Second thing that I started was, funnily, I'll ask you this question, was the laundry startup. And
Mhm.
young people, so we could see, the mental picture that I painted in my head was that of a guy crushing my clothes on a dhobi guard and, crumpling my expensive t-shirts and jeans, what I bought. And that's the mental picture I painted. And I thought ki I had from learning from my first failure when we could not. So this is now in 2013, VC system ki angels, kuch pata lagne lag gaya tha. Okay, there is something called as a VC or something. So first startup tak to we could not even clear that head out. now we could flair. So we painted this picture and we put that picture as our motto in the pitch deck. कि ये picture देखिए. We are here to solve your laundry crisis. Pritesh, why do you think there is no pan-India laundry startup?
I think there was, like last time we were discussing, there was a massive boom, right? In 2013, 2014, the time around the time I passed out of college, and I remember a lot of laundry startups coming up, right? They would pick up stuff
Hmm.
from home,
Yeah,
and they
we
would
did.
wash it, and they would
Hmm.
then service it back to your home, right? It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
probably a massive convenience.
yeah.
I think, but I remember discussing last time the whole operation business, like you mentioned last time, was so it was so operation heavy. It was so there was even a minor fault would probably wipe away your consumer base massively, right? I think those are some of the common reasons that I remember we were discussing last time. Yeah.
Yeah, there is no, because there's firstly the money, as you said in startups, there's no value to deriving it. People can't say that I am washing your clothes in such elegant way that you're going to charge me a premium on top of it. It's a mentality from a human consumer is you're putting it in a washing machine. I am just don't have the time to do it myself. I'm paying you for that. So you can't charge me 3x the amount because you are doing this. And that's what you thought. So that's the thing that I could not understand it then. As a consumer, I do it right now. If you buy something from groceries, are you buying it at 3x the prices? Amazon, Big Basket, Zeptos, Blinkits of the world are delivering it within the same price. You can't put a premium to it. At that point of time in 2013, 14, I was giving up thinking that we're going to charge premium, we're going to do all of this, and that's where we went wrong. And when you rightly said, if I spoilt one shirt, which was part of the business, you are going to spoil certain clothes because you're doing it in bulk. That 500 rupee shirt will be labeled as a 5,000 rupee shirt. And I cannot challenge a customer, no, sir, I will buy you the same shirt for 5,000 rupees, for 500 rupees, even if you are claiming it for 5,000. And that is where all the fights began. And when we picked up that, oh, we cannot certainly sustain this kind of business. And I was right retrospectively. I think now that when I said that there was no pan India startup, it's a very good model to be run as a businessman. I alone sit in the like a lala, sit in one place, see overlook all the clothes that are washed, see that everything is being done in a hunky dory basis. I cannot go for a multi-store outlet where there are thousands of clothes coming in, thousands of clothes going out. It has to be centralized, or it has to be washed, or it has to be at one particular location, catering to only one kind of segment. You can't think of doing multi-thing. You know that there's a salon also sending its oil ridden towels and something washed, being a consumer like you sending your new shirt, pink color shirt which does not leave color. You can't bundle all of them up.
Hmm.
It has to be separated, and again that's the journey that I found out. So again burnt my finger at that point, and then I realized the entrepreneurship is not meant for something. And that is where I went to my parents. I said, so okay, money would come back. Obviously they are doing well, so money loss is something which probably did not affect, but the time loss, I spent 3 years doing both these things. And that's where I thought ki so much of time loss has been there, and you feel guilty ki, and there was no one to guide. So what to do? And MBA came as the third option ki bhai, okay, regular engineer MBA, फिर जॉब करेंगे, यूएस में रहेंगे, whatever the thing was. And that's where my mother was kind enough, okay, what do you think, she was working in a hospital. She was working as the head of the department, and you think this industry is coming up and booming. I said, if you are there, I think I've now learned enough of management concepts where I just need someone stable enough to come and help me. And that's how I clubbed and started this IVF center with my mother as my co-founder. And I knew, okay, no matter, I had co-founder conflicts earlier, but with someone in-house, माँ से गाली भी खा लूंगा तो वापस दूंगा नहीं कि चलो ठीक है भाई आपने बोल दिया हो गया. And that's why it has become fairly successful venture between me and my mother, and that's how we've grown. So it is, again, I tell you to all entrepreneurs ki you cannot be certain about anything. What clicks at what point of time is only because unless you keep on trying. I could have been successful in the laundry thing, but it did not click. We were at the right point of time in the gaming industry, but probably we were not at with the right mindset. if we would have continued it, we could have been an IIT giant by now if we could have figured it out that how do we run, because we were young 22-year-old kids at that point of time trying to do two big things without having the requisite knowledge. We could not do it right time. Like, it was the right thing. It was like being a Meru or an Easy Cab before the Google Maps opened up their API where Uber and Ola came in. You know, you had the ride hailing services. You had that you can book a taxi, but it'll take you 6 to 8 hours for us to schedule one taxi to come and pick you up. They could not go on to they could not take Google API's help and devise the whole internet thing, but Ola and Uber did. So we were probably just way ahead of our time and not mature enough and not smart enough to go on that boom. And that's why I say that, you know, you never know what is the right thing at the right point of time. You can, uh, as long
Yeah,
as you
yeah.
keep trying, once you keep trying, you can make wonders happen.
If you enjoyed this, it would mean a lot to me if you subscribe and share your thoughts, reviews, and the guests you want. And आपको हमारे community के links मिल जाएंगे notes में. So do join for brilliant networking and participate in the upcoming events and for connecting with most of our guests. दोबारा मिलते हैं next discussion में.